going?
So they demonstrated how you have several little, some customers arrive who also get real flowers. One gets something to go.
We lucked out.
After the other one, first game, he was horrendous.
A memento of a special place. I think that interests you so well. I know, so tell me,
Barbara.
we always lose your office. So isn't it?
Your son
Well, the
was
textile buildings
so
works between 33rd and.
You walk away learning something every
There's no question. That's what I'm reading when it ends. But it just stimulated me.
show them.
Yeah, they're here. We'll be here Sunday night.
Yeah. And Tasha. It's so
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
This is the last Shabbat of the Jewish year, 5782. It doesn't have a special name per se. It's just known as the Shabbat connected to the regular Torah portion. But it's a beautiful day. Definitely we're feeling the turn of the seasons now. On cue, fall began. And so that's really the overall theme at this time of the year, as we've been mentioning for a few weeks. And so it's very appropriate to begin our service with one of the songs of Judaism that speaks about turning and returning. Hashivenu is on page 358. This is a very slow, beautiful melody. These words are also used during the Torah service, when we return the Torah to the Ark, and we actually sing this song at the Tashlik ceremony, which we'll be holding Monday afternoon by the river in Overpeck Park. It's on the bottom of toward the bottom of the page. Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Hadesh Yameinu kekedem. Return us to you, and we will return. Renew our days as of old.
Additionally, there are English words that accompany this called return again, return to the land of your soul, return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are born and reborn again.
Return again.
Return to the land of your soul. Return again. Return again. Return to the land
opening reading on page 7. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished? Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burden that must return. On this day, Shabbat, abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the fight of time, contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat, abide. Our welcome of the Shabbat continues with the singing of Lecha Dodi on page 20.
Right before we do that, let's just take a moment to really observe those words. Let's take ourselves a nice cleansing breath. At the end of Shabbat, we make Havdalah, and truly, we can make Havdalah right now, a separation from the week that we've had, just in our breath.
As we remain standing for the Baruch Hu, our call to worship, on page 28, we'll be introducing several of the high holiday melodies at this service as a prelude to Rosh Hashanah. Of course, Sunday night and Monday, it's customary to do that and to retain the high holiday melodies also next week in the Sabbath in between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. So there will be hints of the high holidays throughout the service beginning right now. Please be seated. I don't know about you, but as soon as I hear da 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 da, all of a sudden it just kind of transports you into the fact that yes, the high holidays are about to arrive. On the next page, page 30, as we have officially entered fall and as we can feel it now, we note that the next prayer takes note of the changing of the seasons and light and darkness. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming the day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsevaot is your name, ever-living God. May you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. And now from the world around us to the world within us, Ahavat Olam, page 32.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amehavta, Torah u'mitzvot u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, b'shomreinu u'b'komenu, nasiach b'chokecha, ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו לאורך ימינו, ובהם נקרא יומם ולילה. אהבתך תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
And joining in the high holiday mode for the Shema, page 34.
Adonai Elohecha
בכל
נפשך
ובכל מאודיך, והיו
הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברתם בשיטך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך ושרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם.
Now, the Michamocha prayer on page 40, we know is among the oldest, if not the oldest, of the prayers because it's taken the first part from the Song of the Sea in the book of Exodus, which is among the oldest parts of the Torah, and we know that from the archaic nature of the Hebrew. So you might think that this old ancient prayer, being so venerable, has one defining melody. Actually, it's the oldest, but really the most flexible of the prayers too. Why do I say that? Because Michamocha traditionally takes on different melodies throughout the year depending on what holiday happens to be being celebrated, and because there's so many appealing melodies to the Michamocha. So as we sing it tonight, we'll be doing it in a way that takes on the classic high holiday theme. Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha nedar ba'kodesh, On page 42, grant, O God, that we lie down in peace, and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Hashkivenu. Eloheinu l'shalom. Hashkivenu Adonai. Shalom, Amitenu, Shomrenu, L'chaim, Schwartz 44. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant for all time. It is a sign for all time between God and the people of Israel. For in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day God ceased from work and was refreshed. Over the course of the High Holy Days, there are admittedly many, many hours of prayer. And for many people who are not accustomed to this, it can seem formidable. It can even seem onerous. And partly that's because people are not necessarily in the habit of prayer like that. But also for some people, there are theological conundrums and challenges. The reading in the middle of page 47 is, I think, one useful perspective on prayer. Actually, this is adapted from the thought of Abraham Joshua Heschel, the great philosopher, who wrote, "Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will." For the tefillah prayer, please rise.
Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagimor Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'koneh HaKol, V'zocher Chazdei Avot V'imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו ואהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם עזרת שרה. הגיבור לעולם אדוני, מקיים הכל עטריו להושיע, מוריד הטל, מקלקל חיים בחסד, מקיים הכל ברחמים רבים, סומק נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך אמר גאורות, ומדום מלך, מלך מנית, ומקיים, ומצמיח ישועה, למען אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מקיים הכל. אתה קדוש כשמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעללו כסלה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. I think another valuable perspective on prayer is contained in the reading on page 57. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answers to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha beyir'ah na'avod. We conclude this section of prayer with grant us peace. The beautiful prayer of peace, page 61.
Grant us peace, your most precious gift, eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country, that it may always be the safeguard of peace. Bless our country and its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Bless our country, that it may always be a safeguard of peace. Bless our country and its advocate among the nations. May the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, the eternal one, who blesses our people with shalom.
Now, at the end of the Amidah, our thoughts turn to those of our loved ones in need of healing, be this a healing of body or healing of soul, I'd like to name my niece, Leah Edelman, and my nephew, Andy Schwartz, for these prayers this evening. And please bring to mind those that you would like to name as we join with the Cantor in the Mishaberach healing prayer. We are rapidly making our way to the end of the Torah reading cycle, which, as you know, will follow just after the high holidays at the end of Sukkot, Simchat Torah. There's really just 3 Torah portions left in the book of Deuteronomy to read. The one for this Shabbat, Nitzavim, is really a critical Torah portion, so much so that we'll be reading parts of it again on Yom Kippur morning, which is a custom that the Reform movement brought in several decades ago, about everyone standing at Sinai, everybody standing in the covenant. But the second part of the Torah portion reaffirms a theme that Moses has been making almost every week in one way or another. You could call it the choice between the way of blessing and the way of curse. The Torah is very big on empowering human beings who have the ability, the moral discernment, to make the choice, the right choice of blessing, understanding there's always the possibility of making the wrong choice of curse. But this week, Moses frames it even more starkly. He doesn't use baracha v'klala, he uses chayim v'mavet. Choose the path of life and not the path of death. Anybody who watched, as I did, the multi-part series of Ken Burns this week on America and the Holocaust will know that certain cultures throughout history have been obsessed with death and bringing death upon others, sometimes themselves. That's the path that Moses is warning against, because as we know, Judaism is such a life-affirming religion. After all, every time you hold up the glass, what do you say? L'chaim, to life, of course. So as we pause now for a moment of our own silent reflection on this final Shabbat of the year, we talk about or think about what we can do to affirm life in our family, our community, our country, our world. So I'm going to do my part right now to be life-affirming, to, I guess, practice what I preach or preach what I practice. And doing so because I'd like to conclude this Jewish year, 5782, on a positive note. Believe me, we've had enough, out of necessity, rather pessimistic discussions over the last year on many different themes. But actually, my elder son sent me this piece about 2 weeks ago that impressed him by a blogger and an author named Scott Galloway, who's coming out with a new book. The book is called Adrift: America in 100 Charts. He evidently loves visual charts, and most of them are negative. But he has a chapter, a very important chapter in the beginning, that is very positive. And this whole thing gets back to the perspective that we know so well. Is the glass half empty or half full? So this evening, I'd like to share with you the fact that it's half full. And in the course of all the negative that gets reported constantly in the news, sometimes we lose sight of the fact that there is a lot to celebrate in the glass being half full. His thesis is that all in all, for the average individual on this planet, life has gotten much better over the last century. And actually, he's following in the footsteps of a better-known thinker, Steven Pinker of Harvard University, who has written about this theme as well. But this is the way Scott Galloway begins his essay. He says, the ascent of the American economy after World War II, coupled with the advances of technology, brought unprecedented prosperity not just to the US, but to the entire human race. It's tempting to let the cost of that prosperity obscure it, but a sober accounting of America and the world today would be incomplete without recognizing our enormous gains. And then he proceeds to give some statistics here. The world is significantly wealthier, freer, healthier, and better educated than it was even 40 years ago. In 1980, is that 40 years ago already? It is, yeah. Over 40% of humanity lived in extreme poverty. Today, less than 10% does. In 1980, 44% of humanity had no democratic rights. Today, it is less than 25%. A child born in 1980 had a life expectancy of 63 years. A child born today should live at least a decade longer. In 1980, 30% of people 15 and older had no formal education. By 2015, that share had been cut in half. So just think about in terms of poverty, in terms of health, in terms of education. In the middle of his essay, Galloway gives us a little modern history lesson. He says that modern civilization rests on a foundation of unprecedented, once unimaginable productivity. The rebuilding of Western Europe and the conversion of the US wartime economy after World War II doubled the globe's annual economic output in less than a decade. By 1960, the world was producing 20 times as much as it had in the 19th century. So a huge rise in productivity all over the world. He goes on to say that from 1980 to 2004, the world's economic output doubled again, from 35 trillion to 70 trillion. In just 24 years, which is a single generation, as much economic potency has come online as had taken the human species its entire history to accumulate. Think about that. Today, the world generates roughly as much output in a month as it did in a year as recently as 1950. And he says, in less than 40 years, billions of people have improved their lot and escaped extreme poverty. And you know what the definition of extreme poverty is? $1.90 per day, which is subsistence living even in low-cost economies. And Scott Galloway concludes his essay with this. He says, the modern world order has ample flaws, but sometimes the scale of our achievement is so vast it becomes a static backdrop we lose sight of. Thanks to substantial improvements in healthcare, sanitation, education, and economic opportunity, people all over the world are living longer. Infant mortality has been cut by 2/3 since 1990. Disease and war, though still real, claim many fewer lives. He says, this is the ultimate measure of prosperity and human accomplishment. Simply put, more life. Don't get me wrong. There's always plenty to be pessimistic about. And right now we face all kinds of challenges. We face existential challenges from climate change, from the specter of nuclear war, which hasn't gone away completely, as we well know. We face serious political threats, like to the foundations of American democracy, as you've heard me speak about. Those of us who watched the documentary were reminded all over again of the imperial aggression and the fact that Hitler did succeed. Maybe not in the military victory of World War II, but in killing 2/3 of European Jewry, which never recovered. He succeeded in a genocide of a people. But side by side with the bloody 20th century, we can't forget all the progress that we noted just now. There's plenty to be pessimistic about, but let's remember there's plenty to be optimistic about as well. Judaism posits it's always a battle, in here and out there, between the human inclination toward good, Yetzer HaTov, and the human inclination toward bad, evil, Yetzer Hara. Judaism posits the battle begins with our own souls, but it continues at every level of human civilization. We affirm the way of Chaim, of life, and not of death. L'chaim. Shabbat Shalom. When we open the Ark now for the Aleinu, on the bottom of page 282, you will note another reminder that the holidays are just about upon us, as this past Sunday we switched the Torah covers to the white of the High Holy Days. Bottom of page 282, please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת כלולן יוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל העולם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום להשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחתינו, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
On this Shabbat, we now call to mind in love and reverence the Yortzeit, the anniversary of the passing of Esther Jacobowitz, mother of Bill Jacobowitz, Joseph Spector, father of Alan Spector, Judith Edelman, mother of Susan Edelman. For all those close to our hearts, for all those for whom there may be no one to say Kaddish, we join in the Kaddish prayer on page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba. Be'alama divrach hirute v'amlich malchute. B'hayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael. Ba'gala uv'izman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehe shmei Rabba mevorach leolam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitale v'yitala shemei d'kudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nekmata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shamayim. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. Amen. Please be seated. Michael Fishbein will offer greetings and a few announcements.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi, and thank you for the positive words that lead us into this weekend. And thank you, student Cantor Joseph Flaxman, for giving us a preview of the High Holy Days, and we look forward to spiritually uplifting services in the coming days. Torah study meets tomorrow at 10 a.m. in the social hall. Everyone is welcome, and you need not have attended any previous Torah study sessions to join in the discussion. For the children, there is no religious school this Sunday. Erev Rosh Hashanah is this Sunday. Services begin promptly at 8 p.m. Promptly. I recommend anticipating delays in driving to the temple, as Sunday traffic in Leonia can be difficult. There will be crossing guards at Broad Avenue to assist congregants parking in the lot across the street from the temple. Erev Rosh Hashanah also begins our annual High Holiday Days food drive. Food can be brought to the vestry room in the back or be placed in bins on the school porch. Rosh Hashanah morning services the next day begin at 10 a.m. The festive children's service begins at 2 p.m., followed by Tashlich at 3:30 at Overpeck Park in Leonia, just past the bridge into the park. I'm happy to report that work is quickly progressing on our paver patio. Consider purchasing an engraved paver to commemorate a bar or bat mitzvah, a wedding date, a milestone anniversary, or any other happy occasion. Mark your calendar for a big weekend closing celebration of our 150th anniversary. There will be a special Shabbat service on Friday, October 21st, and a concert on Sunday, October 23rd, featuring Emuno superstars. A gala outdoor reception celebrating our 150th anniversary follows the concert. You'll be receiving information shortly in the mail asking you to RSVP for the gala. Please RSVP promptly so the organizers can better plan this event. Shana Tova.
And you do realize that Michael only mentioned half of what's going on. He didn't mention like Yom Kippur. That's a big one. Sukkot, Simchat Torah, all that's happening between Rosh Hashanah and the Gala weekend, which means it's basically nonstop. But that's the way it's supposed to be in the fall at the holidays in the synagogue. We'll be laying it out and reminding you on many different occasions including the weekly message, everything that's going on. And so the last few weeks, Cantor Joe has brought us a folk tune, but directly connected to the idea of turning and returning, which is the theme of the season. So by now, the melody might be familiar to you, and sing along. Turning of the world.
Let us sing this song for the turning
Of the world
that we may turn as
as one.
with every voice, with every song. We will move this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our turning. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our turning. Let us sing this song for the learning of the world, that we may learn as one. With every voice, with every song, we will learn this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our learning. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our learning. Let's love the world, let's love it. Let us sing this song for the loving of the world, that we may love as one. With every voice, with every song, we will love this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our loving. With every voice, with every song, we will love this world along. With every voice, with every song, we will love this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our loving. And our lives will feel the echo of our loving.
Shabbat Shalom.